So welcome to CrosseMaths Intermediate lesson of the day. Okay, we've got a bit of indices today. Indices is very straightforward. Okay, I'll get into it in a sec. Have a go at the challenge grid in front of you, please. Pause the video, because I'm going to go straight into the answers. Have a go, see how many you get. The goal is to get 18 points altogether. If you get 18, you're on your way, because there's a range of different topics for there. Pause it now. Right, guys, so you should have paused it. We should be unpaused, and we should be ready to have a go at this. So I've got a little bit of basic solving equations to start us off. Okay, so what I'm gonna do to get rid of that -8, I'm gonna add 8 to both sides. Okay, I end up with 6x plus 8 minus 8 makes nothing equals 22 plus 8 equals 30. Okay, I'm gonna divide by 6 now to both sides. I end up with x equals 5 as an answer. Okay, really straightforward. Okay, I'm going to make a pen a little bit thinner, just so it doesn't look as weird. So, 0.6 times 0.9, I can't do that in my head, I'm not smart enough, so I'm going to do 6 times 9, which is 54. Okay, then I look at my question, I got 1, 2 numbers after the decimal point, so I count back 1, 2, put my decimal point in, and I always put a 0 before it, 0.54. 1 mark. Bit of trigonometry. Okay, this is a hard question, okay, for intermediate pupils. Always the same, learn it, it's very straightforward. Okay, so what I've got, this is my opposite side. You do these same steps every single time. This is my hypotenuse and this is my adjacent. Those steps don't change. Okay, you also write SOHCAHTOA every single time. The reason you do these things is so you can tell whether it's sin, cos or tan. I want to find out my opposite. I've got my adjacent, so I'm going to cross off hypotenuse because I don't need it. Okay, I'm going to be using tan. My tan triangle looks like this. Exactly the same as TOA, it looks exactly the same. I cover the bit that I want. So with your thumb on the triangle, cover O. Whatever's left is you're working out. So I've got O equals tan times A, tan 47 times by A, which is 7. I put all that in my calculator, tan 47 times by A, which is 7, gives me 7.51 centimetres. Okay, really straightforward question, learn how to do it, okay? It is a difficult topic, but it's the same every time, it's repeatable. 3 points for that one. Next, we've got a bit of factorising and solving. This is difficult, always towards the end of intermediate T, okay? Worth 3 marks. Okay, what you need to do, you need to put this into 2 brackets. So it's exactly the same as expanding double brackets, just you're going backwards now. So I've got x and x. I'm going to work out what 2 numbers multiply to make +9 and add to make -6. 2 numbers multiply to make 9 are 3 and 3, and they also add to make 6. If they're going to add to make -6, it's going to be x minus 3 and x minus 3. Those ways will work. Okay, that's the only way you can do it. You've got to find 2 numbers that add to make the middle number times to make the end one. Now you've also got to solve it. Now solving it means working out what number could go in the brackets to cancel them out to make 0. The number that could go in both brackets actually is the same. The number that would go in both brackets is +3, and that would cancel them out to make nothing, because that's what we're aiming for. And that is literally it for that topic. That's how much your work going to be. X equals 3. If there was 2 answers, you'd have to put 2 answers, but there's not. Right, indices, this is what we're doing today, okay, so I'm going to go through this quite quickly. You take your 2 front numbers, your 8 and your 2, and you divide them. 8 divided by 2 gives me 4. Your x5 and x7, you take them away from each other. Remember the 5 is first, so it's going to be x to the power of -2. 4x to the power of -2 is your final answer. And that's it. 3/10 take away 1/5. Okay, I've got to make them the same. Okay, you can do the whole cross multiplication thing if you want to. However, this one, I only have to change one of them. I'm just going to take this right hand fraction and double it. Okay, so 3/10 stays as it is. 1/5, if I times both of them by 2, I end up with 2/10. Once it's there, 3 take away 2 is 1. If there's 10 on the bottom in the question, it's 10 on the bottom in the answer. Chopped it. Right, last 3. 35% of 180, 10% is 18. 30% would be 3 times that, which would be 54. And then 5% would be half of 10%, which would be 9. And then I add together my 30 and my 5 to get 35. My 9 and my 54 gives me 63. Literally that simple. Next one, solving simultaneous equations. Okay, this is quite difficult. However, you follow the same steps. Okay, so looking at this, I want to make my y's the same because I'm going to cancel them out to get rid of them. You can't work out two letters if you've got two letters going on. Okay, you need to get rid of one of them. So I'm going to times the top by 3, and I'm going to times the bottom all by 4. That'll make both the y's into a 12. Times the top by 3, and it with 9x plus 12y equals 21. Bottom times by 4, and it was 16x. Oh, that's a y. 16x. Oh, I've cancelled some bits out. Bear with me. Let me fill in my gaps. 16x take away 12y equals 26 times 4 equals 104. Okay, so 9x plus 16x, if I add everything up, start adding stuff up, 9x plus 16x is 25x. The middle bits added together cancel out. 21 plus 104 is 125. If I divide through by 25, I end up with x equals 5 as an answer. Once you're halfway, that means you're halfway once you know what x is. Then you've got to substitute it back in. I'm going to go for the top one. 3 times 5 gives me 3 times 5 gives me 15. 15 plus 4y equals 7. If I take away 15 from both sides, I end up with 4y equals negative 8. If 4y is negative 8 and I divide through by 4, y equals 2. Negative 2. Y equals minus 2. That's it. Job done. Right, very last one on the starter, okay? I know it's been quite a long starter, but very last one. Okay, nth term. You've got to work out the jumps first. Your jumps is going to go in front of your letter n. These are going up in 4s each time. So it's going to be 4n, and then whatever comes before the first number goes on the end. If it's going up in 4s, it's going to be, before the first number is negative 1. So my answer for my nth term is 4n, take away 1. Easy 2 points. Right guys, so lots of topics in there, okay? It's worth probably about 33, 34 marks on your GCSE paper. A massive chunk. A quarter of the whole GCSE paper is on that challenge grid by there. Okay, huge chunk, worth learning and getting good at these topics, okay? Right, so if you did do well, remember, please email me, please DM me, anything. I'd love to hear how you did. Right, it's multiplying indices, so simplifying. Now, this is different, okay? So you don't mess with these bottom numbers at the moment, okay? Simplify 8 to the power of 3, 8 to the power of 4. 8 to the power of 3 just means 8 times, let's make my pen a little bit thicker than that. Cool. 8 to the power of 3 just means 8 times 8 times 8. And 8 to the power of 4 means 8 times 8 times 8 times 8 again. It means 8 times itself 4 times. Altogether you got 8 to the power, 8 times itself 7 times. So I can rewrite that as 8 to the power of 7. And that's it done. Okay, looking at those, do exactly the same thing I want you to do on the right hand side, and then tell me if you can think of a general rule for multiplying indices. Okay, pause the video now, have a go at the right hand side one. Right then, so just going to go through this one as well, exactly the same as we just did. 5 to the power of 3 is 5 times 5 times 5. Times by 5 to the power of 6, 5 times 5 times 5 times 5 times 5 times 5. Okay, altogether that's 5 times itself 9 times, so it's 5 to the power of 9. Okay, looking at these two, can you think of a general rule? I can. Okay, if you look at the two of them, if you want to go from the start to the finish, you can just add the powers. So multiplying indices, every time, you just add the powers. Add them together, and it's worth writing that down. So I would get the example down as we're going through, pause the video, write your examples down because they're really important, and write your workings down as well. Right then, so dividing indices, similar thing. Okay, similar thing, well, not similar, a little bit different. Okay, 8 to the power of 6 divided by 8 to the power of 3, so I've got 8 times 8 times 8 times 8 times 8 times 8, all divided by 8 times 8 times 8. Now if you look at the top and look at the bottom, if you've ever got the same thing on the top and the same thing on the bottom, you can cancel them off. These 8's will go, these 8's will go, and these 8's will go. That leaves me with 8 times 8 times 8, which is the same as 8 to the power of 3. Same thing over here, okay? Have a go, pause the video, have a go at that, and then let me know how you do. Right then, so hopefully you paused the video there and you had a good go with that. I got 5 times 5 times 5 times 5 times 5 times 5 times 5. Is that 7 of them? Yes. All divided by 5 times 5 times 5 times 5. Okay, if I start cancelling off, okay, you can only cancel off 1 if you've got 1. I end up with 5 times 5 times 5, which is the same as 5 to the power of 3. Think about it, is there a rule for this if you wanted to get from start to finish? Yes, you can go from question to answer simply by taking away take away the powers. Okay, this one, the general rule is just take away the powers from each other. Really straightforward. Okay, so indices when you got brackets. Okay, similar thing. Okay, I got 8 squared to the power of 3. To the power of 3 means times by itself 3 times. So the same as doing 8 squared times 8 squared times 8 squared. Remember what we do when we multiply indices, we add the powers together. Adding those up, give me 8 to the power of 6. Do the same thing. Pause the video now and do the same thing with the right hand side one. Right, so if you did the same thing with this one, you'd end up with 5 to the power of 3 times 5 to the power of 3 times 5 to the power of 3 times 5 to the power of 3. Add all those up, you end up with 5 to the power of 12. Okay, think about an easy way to get from start to finish. How can I get from there to there and there to there really quickly? The quick way, if you've got brackets, you multiply your powers. Really straightforward. Right then, so what I'd like you to do, using those rules, and make sure you've copied down your examples, using those rules, I'd like you to have a go at these 8 questions, please. Have a go, take time if you've got different signs, okay? Pause the video now and have a go at those. Right then, so hopefully you paused the video and had a good go and you got all of them done. Brilliant if you did, okay? Mark whatever you've done so far. If you got lots of those right, that's really good. I would expect some people to make mistakes on 7 and 8 only because the signs might catch you out. Minus times a minus, remember, makes a positive. Right then, so moving on, okay? A bit more difficult in these examples, okay? A little bit more difficult, but it is straightforward. What we just did a minute ago, I'm going to zoom right in so you can see it really clearly. What we just did a minute ago was questions where it looked like this. I'm scribbling out my 8. And I'm scribbling out my 5. We did questions where it was x to the power of 2 times by x to the power of 5. That's what we just did. All we've added in now is numbers outside the front. Now my x is just going to stay there. The numbers outside the front, you deal with those exactly the same as you would with normal numbers. 8 times 5, I'm going to do those first. 8 times 5 is 40. And then exactly the same as I did earlier on, I add my powers together. I've got x to the power of 5 and x to the power of 2. If I add those together, I end up with 40x to the power of 7. Really straightforward. Same thing on part B. Times my two front numbers. 4 times 7 is 28. X minus 3 and x to the power of 9. 28x. If I add my powers together, minus 3 plus 9. 28x to the power of 6. Okay, you'll see this same pattern goes all the way through. Be careful on CD onwards, okay, because they've got 2 different letters. Similar to when you're simplifying other stuff, you can only put powers together, only add the powers if they're the same letter. So on these ones, I've got x to the power of 4 times x to the power of 6, which makes x to the power of 10. And then I've got y to the power of 1 and y to the power of 7. So I end up with y to the power of 8. You can see as we're going through how this kind of makes sense, okay? You just put in the powers, add in the powers together, use the rules if we're dealing with the same letter. Same thing on D. A to the power of 7 times a to the power of 5 gives me a to the power of 12. B to the power of 9 and b to the power of 7 gives me b to the power of 16. Really straightforward. Okay, down here, squared. Now these always catch people out. Remember, you're not just squaring the x, you're squaring the 5 as well. 5 squared is 5 times 5, which gives me 25. X squared is just x squared. And you leave your answer like that. Next one, 6x cubed to the power of 2. Okay, the squared bit does to the 6 as well. 6 squared, 6 times 6 is 36. X cubed times, remember with brackets we times our powers, x cubed times by 2 is x to the power of 6. Next one, same thing. My 20 and my 4, I deal with them as if they're normal numbers. 20 divided by 4 is 5. x7 and x3, if I take away those, I end up with x to the power of 4. 5x to the power of 4, really straightforward. Okay, again, same thing. 9 divided by 3, my front numbers, normal maths. Okay, 9 divided by 3 is 6. X to the minus 2, take away 5, gives you x to the power of minus 7. I think the only way most of us are going to slip up is if we got our negative numbers wrong. Right then, down the bottom, okay, down the bottom, just going to move that down a little bit just so you can see more clearly. These lines are divisors, they just mean divide, okay? 24 divided by 6 is 4. x3, 11, take away x3, okay, you're taking away your powers, remember, gives you x to the power of 8. Same thing on this one, 42 divided by 7 is 6. A9, A2, take the powers away, gives me a to the power of 7. B15 and B7, take the powers away, gives me b to the power of 8. Okay, as long as you deal with each individual bit one at a time, it's really easy. Okay, what I'd like you to do is pause the video now and get all that copied down. Right guys, so I'm just going to move on again. Okay, task 2, write the following as single powers. Okay, this is I'd like you to have a go at this. Pick a box that represents your confidence. Okay, red is easy, yellow is middle, and green is hard. On green, you're trying to work out what would go in the question mark. Pause the video now, have a go. Right then, so you should have unpaused that now, and these are the answers you will have gotten. Okay, if you got most of them right, that's really, really good. Even if you did red, that's okay. Right then, so pause it and mark those up. Once you've done that, I'd like you to have a look at this. Okay, this is a GCSE question, a proper one from an actual GCSE exam. It's on higher tier and intermediate, okay? Comes on both. Now, I think it is a calculator paper, okay, so you can use a calculator on this if you want to. Especially on part B, that might be useful. So, pause the video now and have a go yourself, please. 3 marks this is worth. Right then, so you should be all done with that. Now, the reason it's only 3 marks, again, this is a very small topic, but it's important you understand it because it links to standard form and other topics like that. And you need to pay these little easy wins. They're easy wins. You need to pay them respect. Okay, so I've got 6p6 times 3p3. Okay, exactly the same as we did earlier on. Okay, even though it's multiple choice, I'm not going to guess. I'm going to work it out properly. 6 times 3 is 18. P6 and P3 adds together to make p to the power of 9. 18p to the power of 9 right on the end. I'm going to circle it. Okay, same thing on this one. Remember, it is a calculator one, okay? 3.4 divided by 13.6 gives me a quarter. And G8 take away G2 is G to the power of 6. So I've got a quarter G to the power of 6, because I took away the powers, is the same as G to the power of 6 all over 4. Okay, have I got that? Yes, I have. Okay, last one. Okay, you're going to times the powers on the top first. M to the power of 3 times M to the power of 6 is M to the power of 9. That M to the power of 9 is still on the bottom. Okay, if I take away my powers, I end up with M to the power of 0. Now, we didn't talk about this rule, but I'm going to talk about it now anyway. If you've got M to the power of 0, because 9 take away 9 is nothing, anything to the power of 0 is always the number 1. Every single time. Okay, whatever number it is, it could be 216 to the power of 0, it'll always give you the number 1 as an answer. So your answer